the Nigerian government just dropped a major announcement that affects every single person living and working in this country. And if you are not paying attention, you could end up in serious trouble. Taiwo Oyedele, the chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, has made it very clear that every individual in Nigeria must file their tax returns by March 31. This is not a suggestion, this is the law, and failure to comply could lead to monthly fines or even arrest. Now, let us break this down in a way that makes sense for everyone watching. Nigeria's brand new tax laws officially took effect on January 1, 2026, and this is the biggest overhaul of the country's tax system in decades. The government has consolidated over 70 different taxes into one unified and progressive system, and it is now being managed by the Nigeria Revenue Service. The whole point of this reform is to simplify things, widen the tax base, and bring in more revenue for development. But here's what is really important for you to know right now. Taiwo Oyedele made his announcement during a webinar organized in collaboration with the Joint Revenue Board, and it was very direct. He said that both employers and individual taxpayers must comply with the law. Employers had until January 31 to file returns for their employees, and now the spotlight has shifted to individuals. Every single person, whether you earn a high salary or a low income, must file your self-assessment tax returns by March 31. Oyedele pointed out that compliance in this area has been shockingly low across Nigeria. He stated that in many states, more than 90% of taxpayers have not filed their returns, and even the most developed states cannot claim that 5% of their residents have done so. That is an alarming number. One of the biggest misconceptions that Oyedele addressed is the belief that if your employer already deducts tax from your salary, you do not need to do anything else. He was very clear that this thinking is completely wrong. Under both the old and the new tax laws, employees are still required to file their own returns. The deduction by your employer does not fulfill your personal obligation. You still have to go through the process yourself. If you are watching this and you want to stay on top of all the important news happening in Nigeria right now, make sure you hit that right button and subscribe to this channel. It takes just a few seconds and it ensures you never miss stories like this one that directly affect your life. Now, let us talk about what happens if you ignore this deadline, because the consequences are real. Under Nigeria's new tax administration rules, if you fail to file your returns by March 31, you will face a penalty of 100,000 naira for the first month you miss. After that, it doesn't stop. You will be charged an additional 50,000 naira for every single month that the failure continues. And if the situation escalates beyond fines, tax evasion can lead to criminal charges, asset seizure, and yes, even arrest. The government is making it very clear that they are serious about enforcing these rules. There is also a new requirement that businesses enjoying tax incentives must now formally disclose those incentives when filing their returns. This is a transparency measure that the government is putting in place to ensure that everyone is playing by the same rules. Additionally, freelancers, remote workers, and content creators are now firmly within the scope of this new system. Many people in these groups will be paying income tax for the first time under this stricter enforcement. So if you fall into any of these categories, you need to start preparing now. The good news is that Oyedele assured Nigerians that authorities are working hard to make the filing process simpler and more accessible. The Nigeria Revenue Service portals are where you would submit your returns, and the government is putting effort into making this system easier to navigate. But the effort to simplify things does not change the deadline or the penalties, so you cannot afford to wait. So, what does this all mean for you? It means that regardless of who you are or how much you earn, the law now expects you to file your returns on time. The government has drawn a firm line and the tools to enforce it are in place. Do not be caught off guard by this. Start gathering your documents, get familiar with the Nigeria Revenue Service portal, and make sure you file before that March 31 deadline arrives. What do you think about this new tax enforcement? Is the government right to take such a strict approach, or do you feel more needs to be done to educate Nigerians before the penalties kick in? Drop your comments below and let us know your thoughts. And if you haven't already, Please subscribe to this channel and turn on your notifications so you are always the first to know about news that matters.